From virtue wealth is derived, and from wealth enjoyment. Vairagya, non-attachment, is the outcome of enjoyment. That is to say, when one fully enjoys the pleasures by means of wealth acquired by virtuous means, one comes to the stage of vairagya, detached state. If the enjoyment is through the wealth acquired by other means, the result is the increase of passion alone. Dharma is twofold, one through the sacrificial offering and the other through the body by performing ceremonial ablutions in a sacred river, etc. One can earn wealth through virtue and divine form through penance. A person freed from desire gains purity, and by purity he acquires knowledge. There is no doubt about it. In the ages of Krita, Treta, and Dvapara penance was recommended for attaining Dharma, but in the age of Kali it is the sacrificial offering that secures Dharma for us. In the Krita age knowledge was acquired through meditation, in the Treta through penance, in the Dvapara through sacrifice, and now in the Kali age it is through the worship of idols. The fruit is in accordance with the nature of merit and sin. Deficiency, increase, decrease, etc. are due to the difference in the articles employed and the part of the body and items of rights. Evil is of violent character and virtue is of pleasant nature. A person becomes miserable due to evil and secures happiness on account of virtue. It must be known that bad conduct leads to misery and good conduct to happiness. Hence it is the duty of everyone to acquire virtue for the sake of worldly enjoyment as well as salvation. If anyone regularly offers sufficient material means to a Brahmin with 4 members in his family, for 100 years he will remain in Brahmaloka. The rite of Chandrayan performed 1,000 times yields Brahmaloka. It is the duty of a Kshatriya to establish and sustain 1,000 families. It yields Indraloka to him. If he maintains 10,000 families he attains Brahmaloka. According to scholars in the Vedas, a man attains the region of that deity in meditation of whom he makes charitable gifts. A man devoid of wealth shall endeavor to accumulate penance and austerities. A man devoid of wealth shall endeavor to accumulate penance and austerities. Everlasting happiness is achieved by pilgrimages to holy centers and penances. Now I shall expound the mode of acquiring wealth through pure and lawful means. A Brahmin shall earn wealth without cringing or exerting himself too much. He can accept monetary gifts and fees for presiding over sacrifices duly performed. A Kshatriya shall earn wealth by valorous exploits and a Vaishya by means of agriculture and cattle breeding. The charitable gifts of wealth acquired by lawful means alone, are attended with good results. Salvation is achieved by the acquisition of perfect knowledge by everyone with the blessings of the preceptor. Salvation is realization of one's own real form and the perfect bliss. O Brahmins, men realize all these things only if they cultivate the association of good people. A householder shall make charitable gifts of everything like money, grain, etc. A person who desires permanent welfare for himself shall give to Brahmins fruit, grain, or other articles, especially when the need for the same arises. Water shall always be given to the thirsty. Food shall be given to the hungry and the sick. Gift of food is of 4 types: field, unhusked grain, or seed, uncooked food and cooked food. A giver of food receives half the merit of the receiver, which he accumulates till the time that food is digested or as long as the glory of Lord Shiva reaches his ears. The receiver of a gift must expiate for his sin by means of austerities or by making gifts to others. Otherwise he will fall into the roar of a hell. Everyone shall set apart 1/3 of his wealth for Dharma, another 1/3 for vriddhi, flourishing, and the rest for his bhuga, enjoyment. With the part intended for dharma he shall perform the 3 rites of virtue, viz. daily prayers etc., casual acts of piety and specific rites for the fulfillment of desires. By means of the second part he shall increase his wealth. By utilizing the third part he shall enjoy with restraint in pure and wholesome ways. 1/10 of the wealth acquired by agricultural operations must first be given in charity, before making the 3-fold divisions, in order to wipe off the sin. He can utilize the rest as mentioned before. Otherwise he shall fall into Rorava. Or he is sure to be evil-minded, hastening towards his own certain ruin. Sensible persons acquiring much wealth by way of usury or trading activities must likewise give away 1/6 of that wealth in charity, before making the 3-fold divisions. Excellent Brahmins, accepting monetary gifts from decent people, shall give away 1/4 of that wealth in charity. They shall likewise give away half in charity in case of an unexpected windfall. If a Brahmin accepts a monetary gift from an indecent fellow, he shall give away the entire amount in charity. A defiled gift shall be thrown into the sea. It is more creditable if one invites persons and makes gifts to them. One's own enjoyment gains by it. A man must give others what they beg of him according to his ability. If a thing requested for is not given, he will be indebted to that extent even in his next birth. A sensible person shall not proclaim others' faults. O Brahmin, whatever is seen or heard should not be spitefully repeated. An intelligent man shall not speak words wounding the hearts of others. For achieving prosperity he shall perform sacred rites in the fire at dawn and at dusk. Persons unable to perform the same, both the times, shall do so once, worshipping the sun and the fire duly. Raw rice, other food grains, ghee, fruits, bulbous roots, cooked food soaked in ghee for sacrificial rites, all these things shall be duly used as prescribed in the sacred texts. Offering of cooked food in the vessel itself, shall be performed at the stipulated time in the manner laid down. If there is no havya, cooked rice offering, the main sacrifice alone shall be performed. Thus the daily rites have been narrated. These shall be performed always, or repeated muttering of mantra alone, or the worship of the sun shall be performed. Those who seek welfare of the soul shall do like this. A person who seeks wealth also shall do likewise. All persons devoted to Brahmayagna, worship of gods, worship of fire, reverence to preceptors and gratification of Brahmins deserve to attain heaven. Chapter 14, Description of Fire Sacrifice etc. The sages said, O Lord, please tell us in order in detail all these rites, viz. the fire sacrifice, the sacrifice to gods, Brahmayagna, the worship of the preceptor and the gratification of Brahmins. Sutta said, O Brahmins, in the case of ascetics and forest dwellers who have consigned the sacred fire to the Atman, taking a restricted quantity of wholesome food is itself the sacrificial offering. Householders who have started their upasana rite shall maintain the rite in the sacrificial fire kept in a vessel or pit always. The sacrificial fire shall be maintained either in the Atman or in the Irani, the sacrificial churning twig from which fire is kindled, lest the fire should be extinguished by royal or divine intercession. O Brahmins, the offering in the fire in the evening for the fire god is the bestower of prosperity. The offering in the morning for the sun god is conducive to longevity. This is called Agni Yagna inasmuch as it enters the sun during the day. The different sacrifices etc. for the propitiation of Indra and other gods by offerings in the fire are called Deva Yagna. The rites of Chula, ceremony of tonsure, etc. are performed in the ordinary fire. The regular study of the Vedas is called Brahma Yagna. A Brahmin shall perform this constantly for the propitiation of gods. This is to be practiced by all and hence no special rules are prescribed here. Now attend to the explanation of certain Deva Yagnas without fire. At the beginning of the first creation, the omniscient, merciful Lord Mahadeva created the different weekdays for the benefit of the entire world. Lord Mahadeva, the global physician, the omniscient, the panacea of all panaceas, made the first day his own day that bestows good health. Next he created the day of his Maya, illusion, the bestower of prosperity. Afterwards, when the birth of Kumara was attended with some mishaps, he created the day for the sake of surmounting mishaps and idleness. With a desire to bless the worlds and for their nurture and protection, he created the next day dedicated to Vishnu, the protector of the worlds. The next day created by the Lord is for the sake of the longevity of the worlds, dedicated to the creator of the three worlds, Brahma, called also Parmasthin, who is the bestower of longevity too. Hence this day too bestows longevity. The last 2 days of the week created by the Lord are those of Indra and Yama. In the beginning, when the Lord created Punya and Papa, virtue and sin, for making the three worlds flourish, these deities who preside over them were assigned these 2 days. The last 2 days are the bestowers of worldly enjoyments and removers of premature death respectively. The Lord made the sun etc., who are his own manifestations and are firmly established in the solar cycle, Jyotis Chakra, the lords of the different days. Their worship in their respective days accords the respective benefits, viz. Health, riches, removal of sickness, nourishment, longevity, enjoyment of pleasures and prevention of death respectively. It is said that the respective merits of the different days are secured through the gratification of the gods. Shiva is the ultimate bestower of the fruits accruing from the worship of other gods as well. The worship for the propitiation of the deities is 5-fold. 1. The repeated recitation of the respective mantras. 2. Sacrifice. 3. Charitable gift. 4. Austerities. And 5. Propitiation on the altar, idol, fire, or a Brahmin. The 16 forms of service and homage shall be duly observed. In the ailments of the eyes or head or for quelling leprosy, the sun shall be worshipped and the Brahmins fed for a day, a month, a year, or 3 years. If the action meritorious or otherwise that has begun to fructify is sufficiently strong, the ailment, old or etc. are alleviated. The repetition of the mantras of the favorite deity accords the respective benefits of the day of the week. The first day of the week dedicated to the sun has the special merit of the removal of sin, especially for Brahmins. For the sake of riches, the intelligent devotee shall worship Lakshmi etc. on Monday with cooked rice soaked in ghee and shall feed Brahmin couples. For alleviating ailments, the devotee shall worship Kali and others on Tuesday. He shall feed Brahmins with an adhaka, a measure, of cooked rice, the pulse, black gram and green gram. The scholarly devotee shall worship Vishnu with curd rice on Wednesday. Sons, friends, womenfolk etc. will always be well nourished forever. A person who seeks longevity shall worship the deities for their gratification, with sacred thread, cloth, milk, and ghee on Thursday. On Friday, for the sake of enjoyment of worldly pleasures, the devotee shall worship devas with concentration. Brahmins should be propitiated with the cooked food consisting of 6 flavors. Good cloth should be presented to women to gladden them. The wise devotee shall worship Rudra and others on Saturday that wards off premature death, by performing homa with gingali seeds. He shall make gifts to the Brahmins and feed them with cooked rice and gingali seeds. Thus worshipping the deities he shall derive the fruit of good health, etc. In the daily or special sacrifices of the deities, ceremonial ablutions, charitable gifts, repeated muttering of mantras, sacrifices, propitiation of the Brahmins, in the worship of the different devas in view of special dates or special conjunction of the planets, or in the different days of the week, it is the omniscient Lord of the universe who bestows health and other benefits by assuming the different forms. He bestows the same according to the time, place, and the deserts of the recipient. The article for worship shall be in accordance with one's faith or local conventions. The Lord bestows health, etc. in accordance with the comparative quality of the same. In the beginning of the period of auspiciousness, the end of the period of inauspiciousness, on birthdays, according to the stars, etc. the householder shall worship the planets, sun, etc. in his own house for his good health, etc. Hence the worship of gods bestows all desired fruits. The worship conducted by Brahmins must be along with mantras and by means of gesticulations in the case of others. The worship shall be carried out by men seeking good benefits in all the 7 days in accordance with their capacity. Indigent men shall worship devas with austerities and rich men by spending money. Again and again they shall do virtuous actions with sufficient faith. After enjoying the pleasures in heaven they are reborn again in the world. For better enjoyment the rich shall always plant trees for shade, dig tanks, etc., install deities, and carry on virtuous activities. After the lapse of some time, when the virtue becomes ripe, he shall achieve perfect knowledge. O Brahmins, he who hears this chapter, or reads it, or he who facilitates the hearing of the same shall derive the fruit of Deva Yagna. Chapter 15, Description of the qualification, time, and place for Deva Yagna, etc. The sages said, O Sutta, foremost among those who know everything, please expound to us the place, etc. Sutta said, the pure house accords normal benefit in the rites of Deva Yagna, etc. The cowshed is of 10 times more benefit than that. The bank of a tank is of 10 times more benefit than that, and the root of tulasi plant or of bilva or asvatha trees is again of 10 times more benefit than that. Similarly, a temple, the bank of a holy tank, the bank of an ordinary rive, the bank of a holy river, and the banks of the 7 holy Gangas are each of 10 times more benefit than the previous. The 7 holy Gangas are Ganga, Godavari, Kaveri, Tamraparnika, Sindhu, Sara, and Riva. The shores of the sea are of 10 times more benefit than the previous. The summit of a mountain is of 10 times more benefit than the shores of the sea. The place where the mind is quite at home is the most excellent of all places. Yagna, dawn, etc. accord full benefit in the Krita age. In the Treta age they yield 3/4 of the benefit. In the age of Dvapara the benefit derived is half. In the age of Kali only 1/4 of the benefit is obtained. When half of the Kali age passes on, the benefit is only 3/4 of this 1/4. A holy day accords a normal benefit to a pure-souled devotee. O scholars, the period of transit of the sun from one zodiac to another yields 10 times more benefit than that. The period of equinoxes, the period of tropical transit, the period of transit to the Capricornus, and the time of lunar eclipse are each of 10 times more benefit than the previous one. The auspicious hour of complete solar eclipse is of still more benefit than the previous. Since the Sun-F cosmic form is infested with poison, then there is likelihood of ailments spreading. Hence, for the alleviation of the serious effects of poison, the devotee shall observe ceremonial ablutions, offer gifts, and mutter prayers. That period is specially holy inasmuch as it is intended for the alleviation of the after effects of poison. The birth star, and the concluding period of holy rites are of the same efficacy as the period of solar eclipse. The time spent in the company of noble holy men is of the efficacy of crores of solar eclipses. Persons of unflinching devotion to austerities and perfect knowledge, yogins, and ascetics deserve holy worship since they quell others' sin. A Brahmin who has repeated the Gayatri mantra 2,400,000 times also deserves the same and accords full benefit and worldly enjoyments. The word patra, one who deserves, means one who protects the giver from downfall. The word Gayatri means that which saves the reciter from downfall. Only a person of purified soul can save others, just as only a rich man can donate anything to others. A man of no means cannot give anything to others in this world. Only he who has purified himself by means of Gayatri Japa can be called a pure Brahmin. He alone deserves the position of presiding over all holy rites, dana, japa, homa, puja, etc. He alone can save others. Any hungry man or woman deserves charitable gifts of cooked food. An excellent Brahmin must be invited on an auspicious occasion and given sufficient sums of money with piety and pleasing words. They accord all desired results. A charitable gift given to a needy person yields the utmost benefit. If it is given after entreaties, it yields only half the benefit. Monetary gifts to servants accord only 1/4 benefit. O excellent Brahmins, charitable gifts to an indigent person, only because he is born a Brahmin, accord worldly enjoyment for 10 years. Gifts to a Brahmin Vedic scholar accord heavenly enjoyment for 10 years. Gifts to a Brahmin who regularly repeats Gayatri mantra, accord Satyaloka for 10 years. Gifts to a Brahmin devotee of Vishnu accord Vaikuntha Loka. Gifts to a Brahmin devotee of Shiva accord Kailas. All kinds of gifts accord enjoyments in the different lokas. A person who gives cooked food attended with the 10 ancillary services, on a Sunday, attains good health for 10 years even in the next birth. 10 ancillary services are, honoring, inviting, providing oil bath, washing and serving the feet, bestowing cloth, scents etc., serving side dishes of 6 tastes, pancakes prepared in ghee and sweet juices, betel leaves, monetary gifts, formal farewell and following a few steps. This is called Dus Anga Anodan. A man who renders 10 sorts of ancillary service to 10 Brahmins on Sunday attains good health for 100 years. If he gives the same on Monday or any other day, he attains the benefit stipulated for that day. The benefit of food gifts is secured in this world itself, either in this birth or in the next. If in this manner he gives food on all the 7 days to 10 Brahmins, he secures good health and all other benefits for 100 years. Similarly, he who gives cooked rice in this manner to 100 Brahmins on Sunday secures good health in Shivaloka for 1,000 years. If he gives the same for 1,000 Brahmins, he secures the benefit for 10,000 years. Similarly, the benefit accrued for gifts on Monday and other days can be understood by a thoughtful man. By giving food to 1,000 Brahmins whose minds have been purified by Gayatri, on Sunday, the devotee attains good health and other benefits in Satyaloka. By giving food to 10,000 persons he secures the benefits in Vishnu Loka. By giving it to 100,000 persons he derives benefits in Rudra Loka. Those who seek learning must make gifts to children considering them on a par with Brahma. Those who seek sons and other ends must make gifts to young men considering them on a par with Vishnu. Those who seek knowledge must make gifts to old men considering them on a par with Rudra. Those who seek intellect must make gifts to young maidens considering them on a par with Bharati, goddess of speech. Excellent men seeking enjoyments must make gifts to youthful maidens considering them on a par with Lakshmi, goddess of wealth. Those who seek purity of Atman must make gifts to old women considering them on a par with Parvati. That which is acquired by gleaning more than 1 ear of corn at a time or gleaning corns one, by fees received from disciple is called Suddhadravya, clean wealth. This wealth yields complete benefit. Wealth acquired by acceptance of monetary gifts is called middlesome wealth. Wealth acquired by agricultural or trading activities is called lowliest wealth. Wealth acquired by kshatriyas using their valor or vaishyas by trading activities is called excellent. So also the wealth acquired by the Sudras by salaries for service. Patrimony or sum received from husbands forms the wealth of virtuous women. There are 12 things to be given in the 12 months beginning with Kshetra or altogether on an auspicious occasion for the flourishing of what is cherished. They are cow, plots of land, gingali seeds, gold, ghee, cloth, food grains, jaggery, silver, salt, ash gourd, and a virgin. Gifts of cows, milk-products, cow dung, in the form of manure etc., ward off the sins accruing from wealth and grain, while sins connected with water, oil etc. are warded off by cow's urine. The 3 kinds of sins, physical etc. are warded off by milk, curd, and ghee. Their nourishment can be understood by scholars. Gift of plots of land is conducive to stability here and hereafter, O Brahmins. Gift of gingali seeds is conducive to strength and to the conquest of premature death. Gift of gold increases the power of gastric fire and is conducive to virility. Gift of ghee is nourishing and that of cloth is conducive to long life. Gift of food grains is conducive to the increase of food production. Gift of jaggery yields sweet food. Gift of silver is conducive to the increase in the quantity of semen and that of salt is conducive to the happy admixture of the 6 tastes. The gift of pumpkin gourd is conducive to nourishment. All kinds of gifts increase everything and secure all kinds of enjoyment here and hereafter, O Brahmins. Gift of a virgin is conducive to worldly enjoyment throughout life. Sensible persons shall make gifts of fruits according to the seasons, such as the fruits of jack, mango, wood apple trees, plantains, fruits from hedges, pulses of black gram, green gram, vegetables, chilies, mustards, their plants etc. Sensible men shall gratify the sense organs of hearing etc. of other people for the gratification those sound etc. It gratifies the quarters too. Theism is that felling in which one fully realizes that actions are fruitful. It is necessary that Vedas and sacred texts should be learned direct from preceptors. Devotion to God out of fear for kinsmen or royal punishment is of inferior sort. An indigent person bereft of all means of livelihoods shall worship verbally or by means of physical activities. Verbal worship means recital of mantras, hymns, and japas. Worship of physical activities means pilgrimages, observance of fast and other rites. Whatever one does, whether it is great or small, whatever be the means employed, if that is dedicated to deities, it becomes conducive to enjoyment. The 2. Practice of austerities and making charitable gifts, must be carried out always. Asylum should be given according to the caste of the person concerned. It is conducive to the satisfaction of the devas and worldly enjoyments as well. Such a devotee shall always attain noble birth and enjoyments here and hereafter. If he performs the sacred rites with dedication to God, he shall attain salvation. He who reads or hears this chapter becomes righteous and endowed with knowledge. Chapter 16 Different modes of worship of clay idols and their results. The sages said, O excellent one, please explain the rules of the worship of clay idols by following which all desired results will be achieved. Sutta said, you have requested for a very good thing. It bestows all wealth always. It suppresses misery instantaneously. I shall explain it. Please listen. It wards off premature and foul death. Even a timely death it prevents. O Brahmins, it bestows womenfolk, sons, wealth, grains, etc. The worship of idols made of clay etc. is conducive to the attainment of all cherished desires in the world. From it the devotee derives food and other edible things, cloth etc. Both men and women are authorized in this. The clay should be brought from the beds of river, lakes, or wells. It should be washed well and pasted with scented powder and milk. The idol should be made with the hands on a raised platform. All the limbs, joints etc. should be perfectly shaped with the respective weapons of the deity concerned. It should be seated on Padmayasana, the lotus pose, and worshipped respectfully. The 5 deities Ganesha, Sun, Vishnu, Parvati, and Shiva shall be usually worshipped in their images. But a Brahmin shall always worship the phallic emblem of Shiva. In order to derive the full benefit of worship, the 16 forms of service shall be observed. The sprinkling of water over the idol shall be performed with flowers. The pouring of water shall be performed with mantras. The food offering shall consist of cooked rice of sala variety. In the worship conduced in the house, 12 handfuls of rice, kudava, shall be used. In the worship in a temple constructed by men, a prastha, a particular measure, of cooked rice shall be used. In a divine temple, 3 prasthats of cooked rice shall be used. In the worship of self-risen image 5 prasthats of cooked rice shall be used. If thus used it give complete benefit. By using twice or thrice this quantity the benefit shall be greater. By performing this worship 1,000 times, a Brahmin shall attain Satyaloka. A vessel made of wood or iron 12 angulas in width, 24 angulas in length and 16 angulas in height is called Shiva. An eighth part of it is called a prastha and it is equal to 4 kudavas. If 10, 100, or 1,000 prasthats of water, oil, incense etc. are used in temples of human construction, of saintly worship or of self-risen idol, the worship is called Mahapuja. The ceremonial bath is conducive to the purity of the soul, the application of scented paste yields virtue. The food offering is conducive to longevity and gratification and the incense yields wealth. The lighting of the lamp is conducive to knowledge and the betel leaves are conducive to enjoyment. Hence in all worships these 6 items are scrupulously observed. obeisance to the deity and repeated recitation of mantras accord all cherished desires. They must be observed at the end of the worship by men who seek both worldly enjoyment and salvation. At first all items shall be gone through mentally, and then item by item every rite shall be performed. By the worship of deities, the devotee attains the different regions. In the subsidiary worlds also there is an ample scope for enjoyment. O Brahmins, I shall narrate the special types of worship to which please listen with faith. By the worship of Ganesha, the devotee shall attain his wish in this world itself. The days of special worship of Ganesha are Fridays, the fourth day of the bright half of the lunar months of Sriva and Bhadrapada, and the Suttabasak star of the month of Dhanus. He shall be worshipped duly on these days. Or the devotee shall worship continuously for 100 or 1,000 days. As a result of the faith in the deity and in the fire, the worship yields sons or the different wishes to the devotees. It quells all sins and the various hardships. The worship of Shiva and others on their respective days of the week is conducive to the purity of soul. In regard to Kamya rites, the basis is either the tithi or the star or the particular combinations of planetary positions. The day of the week is the basis for the worship of Brahman and others. There is no increase or decrease with respect to the days of the week as in regard to the tithi, star etc. A day is calculated from sunrise to sunrise. The worship of the deities on the respective tithis etc. is conducive to full enjoyment for the devotees. In regard to rites of the manes, the earlier part must be in contact with the night previous. In the worship of deities the latter part must be in conjunction with the day. If the tithi extends to midday, that part of it which falls at sunrise shall be taken for the worship of the deities, so also in regard to the stars. Hence a devotee shall consider all these aspects and proceed with the worship, repeated recitation of the mantras etc. The word puja is thus derived. Pa means the achievement of the fruits of enjoyment. By the right one achieves the fruits. Jayati means is born. Good ideas, knowledge etc. also are included in this. The word puja is used in this sense amongst the people as well as in the sacred texts. The daily and occasional rites yield their benefits in due course, but the fruits of Kamya rites are instantaneous. The necessary rites are performed every day. The occasional rites are performed in particular months, fortnights, years, or on special occasions. In the Kamya rites one derives the fruits after the sin has been duly quelled. Mahaganapati Puja shall be performed on the Chaturthi day of the dark half of the lunar month. That rite wipes off the sin of the whole fortnight and yields enjoyment for full fortnight. The worship performed on the Chaturthi day of the lunar month of Kshetra accords benefit for a month. The worship performed in the months of Simha and Bhadrapada accords enjoyment of worldly pleasure for a year. The worship of the sun shall be performed on Sundays, or Saptami, 7th day, or in the star Asta of the month of Sravana, or on the Saptami in the bright half of the month of Magha. The worship of Vishnu is conducive to the attainment of all desires and wealth if performed in Wednesdays, Dvadasi, 12th day, or in the star of Sravana in the months of Jyestha and Bhadrapada. The same worship in the month of Sravana yields all desired wishes and good health. Propitiation of Vishnu on the Dvadasi day yields the same benefit as is derived from the gift of the 12 things with ancillary rites. The devotee shall worship 12 Brahmins on the Dvadasi day, assigning them the 12 names of Vishnu with all the 16 forms of service. He shall gratify the deity thereby. Similarly 12 Brahmins shall he worshipped after assigning them the 12 names of any deity to gratify that deity. A person who seeks prosperity shall worship Parvati, who bestows all worldly pleasures on Mondays, Navami, 9th day, and in the star of Mrgasiras in the month of Karkataka. The Navami in the bright half of the month of Asvayuj accords all desired benefits. The worship of Shiva shall be performed on Sundays, Katardasai, 14th day of the dark half of the month of Magha on the Ardra star and on the Mahardra day. It accords all cherished desires. The worship is conducive to longevity, prevents premature death and accords the achievement of everything. The worship of the different manifestations of Shiva with all 16 forms of service and homage on the Mahardra day in the month of Jyestha, on Katardasai day or on the Ardra day in the month of Margasirsa is on a par with Shiva's worship and yields worldly enjoyment and salvation. The worship of the first deity of the weekdays in the month of Karthika is specially recommended. When the month of Karthika has arrived, the sensible man shall worship all the deities by giving gifts and observing austerities, homas, japas, restraint, and the 16 forms of service. The idol shall be worshipped with mantras. Brahmins shall be fed. The devotee shall be freed of desires and distresses. The worship of deities in the month of Karthika yields all worldly pleasures, dispels all ailments and removes the adverse effects of spirits and evil planets. The worship of the sun on Sundays in the month of Karthika together with the gifts of gingali seeds and cotton alleviates leprosy etc. By making gifts of haritaki, one of the myrobalans, chilies, cloth, milk etc., and by installing Brahman, the alleviation of consumption is brought about. By making gifts of lamps and mustard seeds epileptic fits are alleviated. The worship of Shiva on Mondays in the month of Karthika suppresses excessive poverty and increases prosperity. The worship of Skanda on Tuesdays in the month of Karthika, and making gifts of houses, fields, domestic articles, and utensils, lamps, bells etc. the devotee gains eloquence without delay. The worship of Vishnu on Wednesdays in the month of Karthika together with the gift of cooked rice with curds yields good progeny. The worship of Brahman on Thursdays in the month of Karthika and the gift of honey, gold, and ghee affords the increase of worldly pleasures. The worship of the elephant-faced Ganesha together with the gifts of scented flowers affords the enjoyment of worldly pleasures. The offering of eatables shall preferably be ghee-soaked rice of the sala variety and well cooked. The offering of various kinds of cooked rice is specially recommended in the month of Dhanus. The person who gives cooked food in the month of Margasirsa shall attain all desired benefits. The giver of cooked food in the month of Margasirsa shall attain destruction of sins, achievement of the desired objects, good health, virtue, good comprehension of the Vedic passages, good practices, great enjoyment here and hereafter, the permanent unification with the Godhead and the realization of the perfect knowledge of the Vedanta. A person who desires enjoyment of worldly pleasures shall worship the deities early in the morning throughout the month of Margasirsa or at least for 3 days. No one shall be without sacred rites in the month of Dhanus. Rites in Dhanurmasa, month of Dhanus, prescribed for the morning can be performed up to the Sangava time, 3 muhurta from sunrise. A Brahmin shall observe fast in the month of Dhanus and restrain all his senses. Till midday he shall repeat the Gayatri mantra. Till the time of going to bed, he shall repeat the mantras such as the 5-syllabled one etc. After acquiring perfect knowledge he shall attain salvation after death. Other men and women shall repeat the 5-syllabled mantra alone throughout and take 3 baths every day. They will attain perfect knowledge. They shall secure annihilation of the great sins by repeating their favorite mantras. A devotee who makes the offering of cooked rice becomes the lord of a kingdom in the world. But by making gift of great offering of eatables, a man attains heaven. O excellent Brahmins, by offering this 1,000 times the devotee attains Satyaloka and lives the full span of life therein. By offering this 20,000 times, he attains still higher world and is not born again. 26,000 great offerings constitute lifetime offering. Making gift of this is called great accomplishment. A devotee who makes this is not born again. Shiva is delighted by the dedication of selves and bestows the salvation of complete identity. This lifetime offering shall be made only to Shiva. Shiva exemplifies birth in as much as he has the form of both yoni, vaginal passage, and linga, penis. Hence, in order to ward off births, the Janmapuja is of Shiva alone. The entire universe consisting of the movable and the immovable is of the nature of Bindu, dot, and Nada, sound. Bindu is Shakti, power, and Shiva is Nada. Hence the universe is pervaded by Shiva and Shakti.